After 4 years of waiting, we finally have the 2025 British and Irish Lions squad. I'm a New Zealander. I've stayed up until 1:40 AM to learn the names of the squad, and to be honest, it is rather shocking. While the worst kept secret in world rugby is finally out, Maro Itoje is the captain, Henry Pollock actually made it. He has played less than 40 minutes of international rugby, and yet he is going to be the youngest British and Irish Lions tourist this year. We're now going to get into the rest of the squad now that I've covered off the two biggest headlines. Starting off with the hookers, I'm starting to suspect that Andy Farrell is going to be exclusively using them in the wide channels of the pitch, now that I see that Luke Cowan-Dickie has beaten Jamie George to selection. Going into the squad announcement, I thought Jamie George had a pretty good chance of getting selected, but Cowan-Dickie, being a more athletic player who can kind of operate as an extra winger almost, I guess this starts to make sense given the fact that Kelleher and Sheehan, two players that I thought were absolutely certain to go on the tour, are both very explosive players. That also would have counted against Dowie Lake and Dave Cherry. We go to the props and they were all exactly as I selected, aside from Tyg Furlong, who has indeed got in for Finlay Bealham. I was correct for 5 of the 6 because prop at the end of the day is always going to be a position where players are picked on form. While Furlong didn't have a massive share of minutes in the Six Nations, he has been rewarded for his reputation. The fact that he's been on tour before will be great for the rest of the squad to learn off. And you know what, I will trust Andy Farrell's judgment on this whole prop process. As we move over to the locks, I did not think that Ollie Chesham was going to suit the way that Andy Farrell coaches, but I think he's opting for a far more dynamic rather than structured approach that he's gone to in the past. Farrell, throughout his history as a coach, has been the most structured in the world, but clearly he wants the Lions to play a bit more ball and play with a bit more instinct, and if that's the case, Chesham is perfect for the job. Tyg Byrne and Maro Itoje are obviously going to be starting. They're two of the first names on the team sheet for a starting 15. Neither of them are probably quick enough to cover blindside flanker anymore though, so I think that's a possible extra factor as to why Chesham has ended up going in the end. A bolter that I picked before the series was ready to have the squad announced. That was Scott Cummings, who has indeed made it. Cummings is a great pair of hands, but given the fact that James Ryan's in this team, I think he'll use his athleticism a little bit more than what Scotland's typically ask of him. While he's got a great pair of hands, Scotland do use him as more of a batting ram, so I think we'll see essentially an inverse version of Cummings this tour. James Ryan, though he's had a very poor season so far, has indeed been selected, and I think that just comes down to the case of him understanding Andy Farrell's system there, getting the Leinster cohesion and having a group of players who can get up to speed with each other. Joe McCarthy as well has been picked for the same reasons as James Ryan, though I think Joe McCarthy has a better chance of starting in the Test series as he's a much more effective ball carrier. As for the back row, an absolutely devastating blow that Caelan Doris has been ruled out. I'm absolutely gutted. I thought that if he was going to go on the tour, he would have been the best person for the job as captain. Caelan Doris, sadly though, is not going to make the tour. Therefore, it is no surprise to see Ben Earl selected and Jack Conan selected. The lack of specialist number 8s though does kind of concern me, as Ben Earl is a hybrid player, best suited to the bench as he can cover all 3 back row positions in the midfield. Henry Pollock though has actually made it. As I said at the start of the video, it's absolutely unbelievable. He's unbelievably good. I think that if he had maybe 10 more caps or so, he would have been certain. The fact that he's so inexperienced, I didn't think it was going to happen. But boy, you know what? I'm just going to take this one and say I'm very happy to see such a promising player going on tour. It's a position where you can reward form, and the fact that he's a bit more of a ball-carrying threat may be the reason he's been preferred to Jamie Ritchie. Tom Curry as well, continuing the trend of lack of height in this back row, is another open side flanker who can play as a blind side. I think the fact that Curry's been selected and Jamie Ritchie hasn't is dead proof that the Lions are going to be playing in a kick chase style of attack. As we move over to Jack Morgan, I'm very happy he's been selected as well. I'm thinking he'll probably start with Pollock as one of the reserves into the midweek games, and Josh van der Flier, he was always going to go, is rounding out the back row. Josh van der Flier, having been World Player of the Year in the past, was always going to be a candidate, so it's about time he finally played a Lions tour, given the fact that he got that award 2 years ago. Now that we move into the back line, however, this is where things start to get a little bit confusing for me. Jamison, Gibson, Park and Alex Mitchell, the tactics that I outlined in my videos before the squad was named, well, those two were obviously going to be selected because of the approach I saw starting to form. I think, however, that because we're going to get a bit more of a loose style of this is why they've gone for Thomas Williams. The fact that Ben White plays for a French club in Toulon as well may have counted against him. However, Thomas Williams and Finn Russell are just too used to losing. Thomas Williams plays not only for Gloucester but for Wales, and Finn Russell has only won the URC once in his entire career. I understand that Finn Russell reads the game brilliantly. I completely understand why people love his highlight reels. However, as Razzie Erasmus said, I would prefer to take Handré Pollard because I care about winning rather than my highlight reels. Finn Russell doesn't necessarily fit into such a structured game plan, so clearly this is the point of difference, meaning the deviation is going to happen. If they're getting far more expansive fly halves and scrum halves in Ireland, this is the obvious indicator that the game plan is going to be slightly different. Marcus Smith, being a very expansive player, able to cover two positions, should be coming off the bench for this very reason. And Finn Smith picked over Sam Prendergast? Goodness me, I did not see that one coming. Yes, I understand that Finn Smith was excellent in that Champions Cup semi-final. Yes, I understand that I've made lots of comments about how I don't think Sam Prendergast is ready, but because of the fact that Prendergast played for Leinster, I thought he was going on the tour. The midfield, on the other hand, no massive surprises. Bundy Aki, Hugh Jones, Gary Ringrose were always going to go. But wow, Sione Tuipulotu, after not having played since January, is going to go after all. I thought that at the start of the year Sione Tuipulotu was certain, 100% chance of going in the tour. I just thought the guy had run out of time. But never mind, I'm happy to be wrong. He was in the form of his life before he got injured, and so I'm really excited to see how this guy is going to go before the tour begins, and during the tour, of course. It's the Huey-Pilotu midfield combo. I cannot talk enough about how much that makes a difference for Scotland. Clearly, this combination being fit again was an argument for why Finn Russell could go on the tour as well. As for the outside backs, Elliot Daly has come in as a utility player. How good? I didn't think that Elliot Daly was going to go on tour because of the injury to Ollie Lawrence. However, Andy Farrell obviously just has the attitude of, I don't care, he's versatile and he can go anywhere this team needs. Clearly they wanted him to fill the role I thought Tom Jordan was going to fill, because he's been on Lions tours before. Tommy Freeman as well did end up making it. I didn't think they were going to select this many outside backs, though I always thought Freeman had a pretty good chance. Tommy Freeman, Mac Hansen, Duhan van der Merwe and James Lowe makes it 4 specialist wingers, with Blair Kinghorn and then Hugo Keenan being the specialist fullbacks. Blair Kinghorn, the fact that a lot of the other French players such as Owen Farrell haven't been selected means that they're clearly only looking at the French-based players if they are going to be starting during the test series. Well, when we look through the squad, it's kind of obvious. From memory, I think he's the only one. Courtney Laws has missed out, Ben White's missed out, Owen Farrell's missed out. So Blair Kinghorn, if he's still in the team, must be the guy they want to start at fullback. I think that maybe the Scottish backline could actually be what the backline is built around now that I've seen this squad. However, guys, it's time for us to stop debating who should have been selected, who deserved to be selected, because at the end of the day, what matters from here? What matters from here is supporting the boys, getting behind them, and enjoying them produce an excellent tour to make us happy. Thank you very much for watching today's video, guys. I really appreciate it, and best of luck to the British and Irish Lions for this series. See you later, team. From Max.